Good evening, everybody. My name is Joe, and I'm a weapon of mass instruction. We're going back to the old setup for a second here. I've got my fucking whiteboard. And today I want to talk about the pineal gland. Reason for this is, well, it's just pretty much where my crazy research has led me. There's been a lot of stuff lately happening, and a lot of it seems to have nothing to do with this, but in a sense it all has to do with this. The pineal gland is a pine cone shape. That's where the name of it comes from. And if you look at a lot of religions worldwide, and especially the ancient religions, ooh, I almost forgot, you'll notice a pine cone shape is prevalent in a lot of them. So the ancients knew about it, and they knew what it did, at least in some respects. And there was one more thing I wanted to add. Oh yes. There we go. Alright. So, like I just said, the pineal gland is a pine cone shape. It resides inside of your head, just underneath your cerebellum, in between the medulla oblongata and the rest of your brain, basically. Alright? What it does is it produces melatonin. That melatonin controls your circadian rhythm, which is your sleep and wake cycle. When the pineal gland does not detect light, then it starts producing melatonin. When it does detect light, it suppresses that production of melatonin and breaks down whatever melatonin it finds. Plus, it also is responsible for rapid eye movement, or REM cycles, while you're sleeping. Like I said, it is light sensitive. All right, believe it or not, the pineal gland has rods and cones in it, all right, just like an eyeball, which is why it's known as the third eye. It has a connection to your actual two eyes, which allows it to pick up the light. All right, so the optic nerve, and it does some other things too, like it actually sends signals to the rest of your body, from what I believe, to help control all the rhythms of your body. So it's connected to not only your conscious mind, but also your subconscious mind. The medulla oblongata, where your breathing comes from, your heart rate, all that stuff that you don't normally have to think about, it connects between the pineal gland and your conscious brain. So there you go. That's what it does. Some things that affect it. Oh yeah, it's also known as the seat of the soul. I believe the guy's name is Descartes, D-E-S-C-A-R-T-E-S was his name. He called it the seat of the soul. And that's what the ancients believed as well, believe it or not. Possibly not the Egyptians, although that remains to be seen. Some things that can affect it. SSRIs, like the knowledge vault, is mentioned several times, and that's what got me hooked on thinking about the pineal gland, plus some other connections that I came across, as well as MAO inhibitors, MAOIs. Basically all the head medication that they advertise on TV, that shit's bad for you, simply because it negatively affects your pineal gland, and it affects your melatonin production. The melatonin, like I said, is responsible for that circadian rhythm, as well as REM cycles. Without the REM cycles, you're going to go fucking nuts when you sleep. That's what people do when they don't dream. You don't have to necessarily remember your dreams, but if you're not going crazy, that means you do have dreams at night. Some other things that can affect it: fluoride, as well as conscious and subconscious signals. Alright, so it's sensitive to light as well as all these other chemicals. The fluoride actually calcifies the pineal gland, which prevents production of enough melatonin to actually do its job correctly. And so we've had fluoride in our water the second half of the 20th century going into the 21st century. You wonder why people are fucking going nuts this year? Look no further than your town water. Alright, SSRIs, MAOIs, they affect melatonin production as well as other glands and other organs in your body. I'm no freaking doctor, but on a personal level, I'm never going to take any of that shit. You know, my ex thought I should see a shrink, and she said, wow, maybe you need medication. I literally told her to fuck off. Because I ain't taking no fucking medication. I don't need it. Ain't nobody gonna fucking tell me I need it. It's bullshit. Alright, on to the second column. Some of the crazy stuff that I looked into as a result of the pineal gland. Switching sides here. So, it's the sixth chakra and the third eye. Alright, and it quite literally is an eye. It's got the rising cones, and I heard something about it having a retina as well. I'm not sure about that. But it is light sensitive. So that pretty much tells me it does part of the same job as your normal visual eyes do. One thing that I was thinking about was clues in the Bible. And even though I'm not a Christian, if you don't already know, I refer back to the Bible for a lot of stuff, especially when it comes to these end-of-the-world prophecies. Because of the organization we know of as the Order or the Illuminati or whoever they want to be fucking called. They've been around for a good long while, and I'm pretty sure they put messages in the Bible as a signal to us, not in a good way. Look at Book of Revelation and the fact that everything is happening according to that. However, there's a lot of evidence that says that God, as it exists, does not take the form of great bearded guy in the sky. Something completely different beyond our empirical knowledge is what it is. Anyway, so I looked in the Bible and I'm looking at Revelations and I'm thinking about the number of the beast. It actually mentions two things there. It mentions the number of the beast and it mentions the mark of the beast. But everybody connects the two and says they're the same thing. The number of the beast is the number of a man. 666, or written side by side 666, or if you want to write it in Hebrew, here's another fucking shocker for everybody. What does that fucking look like? Huh? Monster. Mark of the beast is an actual physical mark that it talks about. And what everybody thinks of as going to be the RFID chips. I agree. That mark of the beast sounds a lot like what the RFID chips are going to be. But the number of a beast, the number of the beast or the number of a man is totally different. 666. If the pineal gland is the third eye, then you have 1, 2, 3 eyes at the sixth chakra. Boom. So right there, it's a message. That's the key, the pineal gland. All right, the stuff that I listed here that it does, that's only the beginning. All right, there's freaking look up references to the third eye, and ancient mystics and contemporary mystics all talk about it, and they all talk about activating it, and all this shit that the government and whoever says is okay for us to take, the fluoride in the water, these SSRIs and the MAOIs and all that shit. They say it's okay for us, but what is it doing? It's suppressing the pineal gland. And that's what the Order is after, the pineal gland. They want to be able to activate theirs. They don't want us to be able to activate ours. They know that some of us are going to wake up to what they're doing, though. So, throughout all of our media, throughout all of current events, there's this underlying subconscious message of all this stuff, no good, don't think about it. They don't want us to think about the pineal gland. You never hear it mentioned in science, even though it's affected immensely by, it gets calcified by the fluoride. People that work night shifts, their pineal glands get fucked up. They have no circadian rhythm. Or they build it up again, but the light that you get from fluorescent bulbs and incandescent bulbs is nothing like sunlight out there, which leads me to the next thing. Everybody's always talking about how Christianity and the Judeo-Christian religions are all sun worship. Alright? Or some people say Judaism is Saturn worship. I don't buy that. It's all sun worship. Alright? Okay, Judaism, not so much. But if you think about Christianity and Islam, and all the subcategories thereof, and you think of Catholicism, Mary worship, but they also talk about Jesus a lot. Alright? But the thing is, Jesus, in the Bible, in Latin, is Lucifer. Not always. A lot of the times they refer to him by name in Latin. But I did, a while ago, I looked up the name Lucifer in connection with Satan, because everybody's always saying they're Luciferians or Satanists, or Luciferians or Satanists, and how the hell did it become synonymous with Satan? I looked up the word, and what I found out is, in Latin, they refer to Jesus as the bringer of light and the star of the morning. And in Latin, that is Lucifer. It's funny. Funny how that works out. Don't hate me. Hate the Romans, because they made the fucking language. And somehow or another, Lucifer became synonymous with Satan. But it never was supposed to be. Never was. But here's another key to unlocking the pineal gland, alright? It's the sun. Why? The morning star is Venus. Alright? And I recall even reading freaking quotes in the Bible. I can't quote them now. But I remember Jesus saying, I am the light. Follow me. If you get up in the morning before sunrise and you see Venus in the sky and you plan on looking at the sunrise, what are you doing? You're following the light. Right? You're following the light. Follow me, I am the light. The light of the sun. Look up something called sun gazing. Everybody in authority and everybody at school always says, don't look at the sun, you're going to go blind. Don't look at the sun, you're going to go blind. You're going to get permanent blindness, nerve damage, cancer of the eyeballs, your head will explode. Just like all sorts of bad stuff in conjunction with looking at the brightest object in their sky. Why is that? Well, obviously, if you stand out there for an hour straight, staring at the sun, refusing to blink or look away, yeah, your eyes are going to go bad or blind. Look up sun gazing. According to some people, you can actually view the sun, to start with, for very short periods of time, about 5 seconds or so, without actually damaging your eyes. Alright, after about 5 seconds, stop, go about your normal daily life, but what happens is, the light from the sun, the purest light that we have in the sky, the light that determines our circadian rhythm to start with, beams straight from your eyes to that pineal gland. And from the pineal gland, it basically says, okay, stop producing that melatonin, it's time to wake up. And it's time to energize and get started with the day. Right? That's exactly what happens when, and you never hear about people watching the sunrise so much anymore. They talk about watching the sunset, but usually what they're talking about is just after the sun actually sets and you got all the pretty colors in the sky. That's not what's going to do the trick for you. But if you actually look at the sun for those couple of seconds, what's going to happen is some of the cells in your eyeballs are going to break down, yes, but your eye naturally heals itself in a lot of ways. Alright? It's going to adapt to that intense light at the beginning of the day. And it's going to start healing itself and getting ready so that the next time you look at the sun for 5 seconds, it's more prepared for it. And the next time a little bit more prepared, a little bit more prepared after that. So according to some people that practice sun gazing, one thing they do to unlock the pineal gland is to actually build up their eyes so that they can look at the sun for longer periods of time. Apparently, you could get up to 44 minutes in a day by the time your eyes are fully strengthened of looking at the sun. Now, I only looked at the sun every once in a while. I look at the sun, not trying to, but like if you feel burning, don't do it. If it gets to the point where it hurts your eyes, don't do it. Stop. But I was able to look at the sun for a good 5 seconds. Didn't hurt me at all. Didn't feel any pain. I saw the bright spot that you always see when you see a bright light, and it went away, just like it always does, and my vision is none the worse, all right? So I did it once so far. I'm going to keep on doing it. I'm going to give you guys an update as to what's happening, all right? But a lot of people are saying that's a way to unlock the pineal gland. You know, could be yet another reason why they worship the sun that many years ago and today as being the god, the big man, the head honcho in the sky, Ra. All right. But taking that Jesus connection one step further, Jesus in the Bible is very similar in a lot of respects to other deities or holy figures in ancient religions. Case in point, Osiris in ancient Egypt. Osiris representing the underworld, but also representing a new life. All right? If you take a look at the Egyptian mythology, he was killed by Set, or Seth, and dismembered, and then his wife Isis found all the pieces except for his dick, which is so freaking hilarious that they intentionally took that. Like, why? Whatever. There's probably some symbolism there that we're meant to find, but I don't know what it is. She put them all back together again and used Ra, the power of the sun, to breathe new life into him. The sun goes back to the sun. So in a way, because Ra, the sun, gave Osiris life, he's pretty much Osiris' daddy. The son of the sun. The other connection that I found to the pineal gland was the Great Pyramid at Giza. Now, what I read was, in the king's chamber at the Great Pyramid of Giza, the ceiling stones that are used to form that king's chamber are actually slightly angled. And they wondered why that was. Why was there an angle in the king's chamber? Well, they took measurements, and what they discovered was all of those stones will form a point so that if you laid on that sarcophagus or in that sarcophagus in the king's chamber alive, those stones would actually intersect at your pineal gland. They did the math and they figured it out, and that's where it goes. The pineal gland. And this gland is like literally this fucking big. It's like a couple millimeters, you know? It's smaller than this 9mm round. A lot smaller. It's more like the .22 caliber bullet. All right? That's how big the pineal gland is. Sitting right inside in the middle of your head. And they knew exactly where to point those stones. Why is that? Well, some theories as to why the Great Pyramid was actually there was not as a burial chamber, but as either a beacon or a way to channel energy. If you're going to channel energy from the sun directly into a person's pineal gland, wow. So we're told that looking at the sun can unlock the pineal gland, among other methods. All right, that's not the only way to do it, apparently. But these guys would take a man, or probably the pharaoh, not when he was dead, but when he was alive, have him lay down in this sarcophagus, and probably at noontime, boom! When the capstone was on there, the system works the way it's supposed to, and somehow, someway, all this energy from the sun gets zapped right into this guy's head, turns him into a god. Not literally the god, but a demigod, alright? He's got what people perceive as divine powers. You look in the Bible, Moses parted the seas, right? He grew up in Egypt. And he was raised by royalty. Remember? They fucking sold him down the river. The royal family found his basket when he was a baby. He was raised by royalty. He was raised by the pharaohs. And he was accepted. And they considered him to be a great person. So what did they do? They unlocked his pineal gland, part of disease. Now, a lot of you are probably saying, "Oh, blasphemer, God did that." Well, how the hell do other people know what makes the disease part? The Egyptians believed that a man was elevated to the level of a god as the pharaoh, in death as well as in life. I'm not disputing the existence of God. That's not what this is about. This is about what the order is trying to accomplish. They know about the pineal gland. They know about what the Egyptians did to get there. Right before the millennium, in 1999, when they were getting ready for it, the Egyptian government, or the Society of Egyptology, wanted to put a new capstone, a golden capstone, on the pyramid. Now, we don't actually know what the original capstone was made of. Gold? Possibly. Gold is a conductive metal. Could have been a crystal, refracting light. If it was some sort of crystal, refracting light, interacting with some of the blocks inside of the building, there we go. Crystal capstone seems more likely. Especially when you look at some really, really nifty artifacts like the crystal skulls. Not like Indiana Jones, although there is an element of truth to that. The actual crystal skulls, rumored to be from Atlantis, but they were found in different parts of the world. Some of them with basically all the parts of a human skull in a crystal, cut against the grain of the crystal. Normally, if you cut against the grain of a crystal, you're going to shatter that crystal. But somehow they did it using primitive tools. Who knows what they used? But some interesting things about these crystal skulls, especially the ones that are as intricate as a human skull. People have seen light coming from inside of them. People have seen light washing over them, right? Not refracting the way it's supposed to be. They discovered that if you shine a light through where the spinal cord would be, up into the skull, it makes light come out of the eyes. So it was designed specifically to shine light one way or the other. Why? People have seen images inside of the crystal skull. They felt differently in the presence of the crystal skulls. Why? Because the crystal is converting that light energy to something else. Possibly. So a crystal capstone might be the ideal thing to use at the top of that pyramid. But anyway, back to the millennium. They wanted to put a capstone on, but everybody and their grandma was screaming, "New World Order, don't do it." So they didn't do it. And now today, what is it, 12 years later, the Islamists that are in control of Egypt are screaming, "Let's tear the fucker down. Tear it down." And a lot of people were saying, well, that's to prevent it from activating. Possibly. Maybe it's to prevent it from being used by somebody else. Because maybe they already used it just recently. Nobody's like allowed there right now. It's like far too controversial. Who knows? Crazier things have happened, and the truth is usually stranger than fiction. So there you have it, people. The pineal gland. Unlocking the true potential of the human mind. Or maybe just a crazy legend. But, sun gazing, I'm either going to go blind or I'm going to, go crazy or be able to do crazy psychic stuff. Who knows? One other thing I wanted to touch on. Judeo-Christian paradigm. The powers that be, the Vatican, the order. Another way that they're suppressing our knowledge is by forcing this paradigm down our throats. Alright, whether you're Jewish, Christian, or Muslim, a lot of symbology, a lot of symbolism that you see in the world today is going to strike a chord subconsciously in your mind. People are always talking about the order is performing these rituals in public. The Diamond Jubilee, freaking the Super Bowl. There's going to be one coming up in the opening ceremony of the Olympics. All right, a lot of stuff. So that thousands of people can see it. Thousands of people can see these Illuminati references, the devil worship references. They're not devil worshippers. What they believed in predates Christianity. And Judaism was based on the Babylonian, the Egyptian, and Sumerian mythologies. It all is. It all goes back to Sumeria. But more recently, in Persia, all right, the Magi. It goes back to the Magi. That's where the order comes from. The Magi. The magic practitioners, the 6th tribe in Persia. They're forcing the symbolism into our conscious and subconscious minds. Why? Because it is the polar opposite of what we perceive them to be. If you get what I'm saying. Thousands of people, millions of people are going to see this, and even on a subconscious level, they're going to process it, and regardless of whether you actually follow any of those 3 Abrahamic religions, the symbolism for Satanism is there. And that's going to naturally be repulsive for most of us. So the first thing we're going to think of is those miserable fucks. And be totally against them. Right? Opposites, opposite energy, but channeling towards the same place. We're directing it towards them. Think of magnetism for a second. You take 2 like poles, 2 positive poles, or 2 north poles, and you put them right next to each other, one of them shoots away. Right? They repel each other. They reject each other. But when you take a positive and a negative, put them together, they come together. And that field, that magnetic field, is not just twice as strong, it's multiplied. That polar thinking is exactly the same. So when they get set and they do their final ritual to unlock their pineal glands and propel themselves into godhood or demigodhood, or unlocking the full potential of the human mind, they're going to suck us right along with it. Those of us who are not awake are not going to evolve. Those of us who are awake but aren't getting past the Abrahamic religion paradigm, all right, are going to get awakened in the way that they want us to. And all the while using our mental energy, our spiritual energy, to strengthen their goal. For all of you watching, if you don't already think I'm a complete nut job, do the research yourself. Even if you do think I'm a nut job, do the research. Do the fucking research and go past what the mainstream media tells you. Go past what just the guys with the PhDs tell you. Because most of it is garbage. I'll tell you right now. Most of what organized schools of thought tell us, the ignorant common people, is just garbage, dumbed down at best. Or outright lies to placate us. They wouldn't want us to walk around knowing that they still haven't found the missing link in their evolutionary theory, or knowing that there's many, many, many examples in human DNA and mitochondria. They talk about mitochondrial Eve. They still don't fucking know where human mitochondria comes from. It's totally different than any other mitochondria in the world. There's certain human blood types that they don't know where it came from, and their best guess is it was a mutation. You know, there's so many holes in the theory of evolution. Keep digging. Find the truth. But back to the question at hand, if they're going to use all of our energy to channel their ultimate goal of attaining godhood, how do we stop them? there's millions and millions and millions of people who are going to act as amplifiers when they get set to run their end game. They're going to amplify this signal to the point where who knows what's going to happen. How do we stop them? Because everybody should know this. Everybody should have this knowledge and be able to use it. If everybody had this knowledge, how? Who knows? We might be able to work together after all. We might be able to transcend mere material. Like who's got the most money? Another one of those paradigms that they fucking trap us in. How crazy is it that we live in a society where the only thing that marks one person as better than another person is simply a means to obtain that which we need to survive. That's it. That's it. If you got billions of dollars, what? Are you more able to survive than me? No. Not at all. I could find the food I need. I can trap it. I could probably hunt it pretty easily. I know how to fish. I know how to forage. Haven't done it in a long while. You know, but whatever. But those three religions, the three main religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Another thing I wanted to touch upon is Hermeticism. The Hermetic orders. Hermes, Trismegistophos? I don't know. Hermes thrice great. Alright, basically, it's a whole different, like, religious or spiritual setup. Whole different idea of the creation of man. Whole different philosophy on life. But, look at the symbols for Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Judaism, Star of David. Literally a star. Christianity is a cross. Sun cross. And a lot of the times you see that cross where supposedly Jesus died, and then there's a circle around it. It's a sun cross. Then Islam, you got a crescent moon, or the moon. Hermeticism follows three main paths. You've got, let me see if I got this right, because I read it on the phone and I got to remember it now. I should have written it down. You've got alchemy, astrology, and theurgism. Or theurgy, I think it's called. Alchemy is the processes or the discipline of the sun. That's alchemy. The whole lead into gold thing, that's only part of it. They're actually, the main thing is finding a connection between the physical and the spiritual planes of existence. Astrology is actually, they call it the discipline of the moon, or the processes of the moon, because they're talking about moon phases, they're talking about the signs of astrology, not specifically stars. Alright, the signs. It's all about the signs and the planets and the moon. So that's the processes of the moon. And this theurgism, or theurgy, is the processes of the stars. And I can't remember exactly what that was, but you can look it up. The reason why I looked into that was because of the saying, as above, so below, which is what a lot of people attribute to the order of the Illuminati, which predates Christianity, predates Judaism, finds its roots in Egypt and Persia and Sumeria and all those ancient cultures. So I wanted to look it up and make sure that I knew what it meant. And the full quote is, that which is below mirrors or reflects that which is above, and that which is above reflects that which is below, all in accordance with the miracle of the all. or the one thing, they say. But it's actually attributed to Hermetic orders, Hermeticism. So, what does that mean? As above, so below. Well, I wrote down the duat here. That was an Egyptian concept. That was the name for their underworld, where judgment occurred. But also, where you find a new life, or new eternal life. So once you're judged, you go on, and you have a new life. Not literally on the same plane, but as above, so below. You know, you find a new eternal life, being happy in the underworld. And apparently they actually had maps depicting this underworld, or their idea of it. And it very closely mirrored the present day, the real world. Alright, but also, I mean, the triangles of the Star of David. The vertical triangle, the one that's right side up, or point up, pyramid. It's the realm of the physical, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it's the realm of the physical. It's also a symbol of being male. Kind of like that phallic shape. So that's that which is below. Or in this case, the duat, that which is above ground. The funny thing about the pyramid is their burial chambers, or what we think of as their burial chambers, is a direct connection to them, to the underworld, which is the inverted triangle, the spiritual realm. Pretty nifty stuff, too. Starscream has a video up. I'm going to mention this real quick. I think I mentioned it earlier as well in another video. But Starscream has a video up where he actually takes satellite footage of the Nile River Delta, and he found images of the Orion Nebula. As above, so below. The shit matches perfectly. And yet, the stuff that you find in the Nile River Delta, a lot of that development was made in the last 300 years. Whereas the light reaching at us from the Orion Nebula is 1,400 years old. So why is it that the image matches perfectly? Take a look at that. It's some good stuff. I think I've covered damn near everything I know about that. What it comes down to is the Bible has the answers, but not in the way that people think. It tells us stuff if we know how to look past the literal and get to the allegory and decipher the puzzle. Jesus, Lucifer, number of the man, 666. Third eye on the sixth chakra. Unlock your true potential. The attainment of godhood. Is it possible? Well, some of the global elite sure seem to think so because they're fucking doing a great job of suppressing ours. Do your research. That's all I got for you now. Thank you for putting up with my craziness. Y'all stay safe now. Peace.